Every fiat currency in recorded history has eventually lost most of its value. Every single one. And the playbook that destroyed Rome's money 2,000 years ago, the Federal Reserve just ran it back. Do you believe that? I didn't either, until I looked at the data. In 64 AD, Emperor Nero faced a problem every government eventually faces. The treasury was empty, but the spending never stops. His solution wasn't raising taxes, wasn't cutting budgets. He quietly diluted the currency and hoped nobody would notice. The cost? $8 billion in purchasing power. Gone. And that was just the first dose. But here's what keeps me up at night. It's not the number, it's how it happened. So slowly, so gradually, that no one saw it coming until it was already over. Right now, we're going to break down exactly how that formula works. Before we talk about how Nero destroyed the currency, you need to understand why that currency mattered so much in the first place. The denarius was introduced around 211 BC. Each coin held roughly 3.9 grams of pure silver, 95 to 98% fine. You didn't have to trust the emperor. You just weighed the coin, tested the metal. The value was literally in your hand. Picture this. You're a Roman legionary. Your pay is 225 denarii a year. A loaf of bread costs about 1/32 of a denarius. A quality wool toga runs you 4, maybe 5 denarii. You know exactly what your money buys this month, next year, because the coin doesn't change. But here's the thing, that 95% silver design, the very feature that created the trust, was also a fatal flaw. It made possible a trick so subtle almost nobody caught it. What was that trick? We'll get there in a moment. According to Stanford economic historian Walter Scheidel, the entire Roman Empire's GDP at its peak was roughly $20 billion in modern purchasing power. And that whole economic machine ran on one thing, faith in the silver content of the denarius. Then Nero took the throne, and that faith started to erode. 64 AD, the great fire of Rome burns for 6 days. 2/3 of the city gone. Hundreds of thousands of people homeless. Any normal leader rebuilds for the people. Nero looked at the ashes and saw something else entirely: opportunity. He broke ground on the Domus Aurea, the golden palace right in the center of Rome. Imagine the scale, 100 to 300 acres. The White House and its grounds, 18 acres. The palace had an artificial lake so large that the Colosseum was later built on top of it. Rotating ceilings that showered guests with flower petals. Walls covered in gold leaf. The Roman historian Suetonius recorded that when Nero finally moved in, he said just one thing: "At last I can begin to live like a human being." But living like Nero was expensive. The palace, the army, free grain for the citizens, wars on multiple fronts, all of it piling up. Nero needed money, a lot of money, and he needed it now. This is the most important part of the entire story, and I need you to lock in here. Nero didn't print money. Rome had no paper currency, but what he did had the exact same effect. Remember that fatal flaw I mentioned? Here it is. Because the denarius was silver, you could collect old coins, melt them down, mix in cheap copper, and strike new ones. More coins from the same silver. Outside, identical. Inside, less silver. Under Nero, silver dropped from 95 to 93.5%. Sounds small? It was. But this was the first hit. And like any addiction, the first hit is never the last. We know this not from Roman historians who had every reason to cover it up, but from modern chemistry. In 2014, researchers Butcher and Ponting used X-ray fluorescence on hundreds of denarii. The data is clear. Silver started dropping right at Nero. After him, every emperor diluted further. Vespasian, 90%. Trajan, 85%. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, 75%. Even the philosopher couldn't resist free money.
Septimius Severus, 50. Gallienus, the silver coin became copper with a thin silver wash. Scratch the surface, red copper underneath. Here's the logic that scares me. Cut the silver in half, mint twice the coins. But wheat, olive oil, linen, nobody can mint more of those. More money chasing the same goods. That's inflation, textbook. A modius of wheat once cost half a denarius, then 2, then 5, then 20. Purchasing power, gone. And if you're thinking that was 2,000 years ago, what does it have to do with me? What I'm about to show you next might change the way you look at your bank account directly. The Federal Reserve just ran the exact same formula. March 2020. The pandemic freezes the economy. The Fed pumps $4.5 trillion of new money into the system. Not silver, not gold, digital entries, keystrokes on a screen. Result? Inflation hit 9.1%, highest in 40 years. Home prices surged 30 to 40%. Eggs doubled. Everything ordinary Americans need, rising faster than wages. Now put them side by side. Nero, less silver, more coins, same goods. The Fed, more money, same production. Output actually fell during lockdowns. Different tools, same principle. And here's the number that haunts me. Rome took 300 years for the denarius to go from 95% silver to near zero. The dollar has lost 97% of its purchasing power since 1913. Just 113 years, nearly 3 times faster. Nero had his reasons, the palace, the wars, free bread. The Fed had reasons too, a pandemic, an economic freefall. Every time there are reasons, every time the solution is the same. Kenneth Harl, in his 1996 study of Roman coinage, called it the debasement trap. Once a government discovers it can finance spending by diluting the currency, no government has ever voluntarily stopped. Not one ever. The short-term payoff is too large. The consequences belong to the next generation. After Nero, the empire didn't collapse right away. That's the most dangerous part. Prices rose, but slowly. Slowly enough that each generation forgot what the old normal looked like. I think that's the real nature of inflation. It doesn't rob you, it erases your memory. By 301 AD, Diocletian issued the edict on maximum prices, price ceilings on over 1,300 goods. Penalty for selling above the cap? Death. Result? Merchants stopped selling. Goods vanished. Price controls failed, just like every price control in history. Here's what I want you to take away. Every time a currency gets diluted, the wealthy survive. They own land, gold, real estate. The people who get crushed are ordinary people. Legionnaires on fixed pay. Farmers saving coin by coin. People who trusted that the money would hold. Just like millions today, savings in a bank at 4%, telling themselves they're safe, while home prices climb 15% a year. Currency debasement, currency debasement, currency debasement. Same trick, same outcome. 2,000 years. Nero debased the currency to build a palace. But how many empires have fallen, not on the battlefield, but in the treasury? Next video, we're breaking down an ancient financial collapse that hits even closer to what's happening in markets right now.
If this video was worth your time, share it with someone who cares about money. That's the single best way to help a small channel like ours keep making content like this. Thanks for watching.